Okay, the goal of today's video is to really give you a clear understanding of what new construction in Gilbert looks like, what neighborhoods may work for you. This is probably the most important thing to note about new construction in Arizona. A lot of people are unaware of. If you go to the sales office without your agent there, the very first visit, you are forfeiting your right to have representation. And the sales rep there, they represent the builder. They cannot represent you. So you will be representing yourself. It's unique to Arizona. They have it in very small print on a lot of the papers they have you sign and when you first enter into the building, but a lot of people don't see it. So if you want representation, just make sure you have your agent with you on the very first visit and then you won't have any issues. So let's just jump right into it. I'm actually going to pull up the map of all the new construction in Gilbert. So if you aren't familiar with Gilbert, it's this area right here. And all these blue squares are where we have new construction communities. So if you notice something, a lot of them or all of them are going to be on the south side of Gilbert. And a lot of times we use the 202 here as a divider. So they're all going to be south of the 202. Now, the very south one, this is the first one we're going to talk about today, and this is Cordillera. So Cordillera is really far south. You're actually really close to the border of Queen Creek. And something to be very aware of this area is the closest major highway is going to be all the way up here on the 202. That's going to be the closest major highway. Okay. So that's like 17, 18 minutes. So if you're commuting to Tempe or you're commuting to Central Phoenix, make sure you're allocating for that time of being on these surface streets for an extended period of time. It really is as far as Queen Creek in this area. The perk of living down here, it's quieter. You're away from the hustle and bustle. You have the Santan Regional Park right over here. So depending on the orientation of your home, you may have some mountain views. And then south of here, right here, this is actually undeveloped reservation land. So it's going to be really quiet down here. It's going to feel a little bit more remote, but you still have things like grocery store, a mile away. This community is going to be a little bit smaller, and it's going to be more traditional Arizona homes here. Similar to a lot of the new construction that we see across Phoenix Metro right now, they are going to be tighter lots, right? You aren't going to have a very big setback from the main road and from your neighbors. They're kind of narrow lots, and they're just trying to pack people in, basically. You can still have a decent sized backyard for sure. Now the homes in this neighborhood, you're going to have some that are more like starter size homes, homes that are 1,700 square feet or 1,600 square feet. And then they go all the way up to, some of them get pretty big, like 3,600 square feet. Something I do want to note, and this applies for all the new construction that you'll see, these prices that they list on these websites, they are the base price. Okay. That's the bottom price. And then you add, what flooring you get, cabinets and everything, that's going to increase the value of the home or the home price. I tell people typically expect, 10 to 20% on top of that base price. Of course, luxury can get a little bit more than 20% depending on all the bells and whistles you choose. But for these homes right here, you're probably looking at like the mid 500s. I know one sold for the mid 500s, these smaller, square footage homes. And then of course, the bigger ones, a lot of them are going in the 600s to 700s. Something to remember about this neighborhood too is it's smaller. It's not like a huge master plan community. There are some community amenities. There's some green spaces and stuff, but you don't have a community pool. Some of the other communities we'll talk about today do have community pools, but it's just something, if that's a deal breaker for you, probably not the neighborhood for you. Now, this other yellow one right here, this indicates that it's a closeout. This is Stonecrest luxury community. They only have one more home available. It's 1.75, beautiful home. But that's the last home available. So maybe you'll be the lucky person that gets it. Maybe you won't, but we'll move on. The next community I want to talk about, this is a Toll Brothers community. Actually, it's Stonegate Court. And it is going to be more luxury listings. Okay. So they call it a boutique community. So there's only about 22 lots total. They just opened this actually last year, and it has been very, very popular. People have been very excited about it. It's for a couple reasons. First, location. You are not that far from the 202. You are not that far from Costco, Santan Village, all the shopping, dining. Easy access to get other places in Phoenix Metro just because you're close to the highway. But the great part about it is you're far enough away from the highway. This block is actually pretty quiet. You have a lot of, bigger homes on this block. And these lots are pretty decent size. A lot of them are 15 to 17,000 square feet. Now, keep in mind, I know this isn't like an acre lot, but for new construction, we don't see a lot of big lots. So people have been very, very excited about this community. And as a result, already about 2/3 of the lots are sold. They're not available anymore. So I could see this one going pretty quickly. The rest of the lots they do have available. These are going to be bigger homes, 3,600 to 4,200 square feet. They have about 4 floor plans that you can pick from. You can select your own finishes and so forth. You can even change the floor plan a little bit. They have some great options for like next generation or mother-in-law suites as well. This is another one. They have some beautiful community amenities, but they do not actually have a community pool. But a lot of the lots are big enough that you can easily put a pool in your backyard. So the next community, we're going to head a little bit further northeast, and this is actually in a master plan community that's been around for a while, Cooley Station. This is built by Fulton, a pretty reputable builder out here. And it's Seaboard is like this specific subdivision. So again, great location because you're not that far from 202, Santan Village, all of that stuff. And the great part about it is they have master plan community. It comes with a lot of amenities. So there's different pools, parks, and right on the corner here, they actually put in, this was in the past couple of years, they put in the Verde at Cooley Station. It's almost like they're downtown, but they have a lot of great restaurants, some boutique shopping. There's some apartment complexes and stuff there as well. But this right here is where the new construction is going into. And again, it's pretty typical, single family homes that we see. Again, kind of the same issue with the setbacks, smaller lots. A lot of the lots are going to be about 5,000 square feet. So you're really close to the street. You're close to your neighbors' houses. The perk is you still get somewhat of a backyard. You could probably fit a pool back there. It'd be a little tight. You aren't going to have much room outside of the pool, but there is still somewhat of a backyard. It's not like those courtyard style homes. Now, as far as price point, I know right here it says 576, but again, these are the base prices. They do have a fair amount of move-in ready homes, and these are homes that are already constructed, they're completed, the builders picked all the finishes and everything, but the builders want to offload those properties. Their, time is money, and they don't want to burn a hole in their pocket. So often that's where the good deals can happen, is purchasing one of these move-in ready homes. And Fulton does have, Seaboard definitely has a lot of options, but you are looking at, most of them are in like the 700-800s when it's all said and done. That's what you're looking at for purchase price. The perk of this community is there's a lot of great amenities, pools, green spaces. It's definitely very family oriented space. Makes up for having a smaller backyard for sure. And it's truly low maintenance living. The HOA actually takes care of the front landscaping. I mean, it's not a ton of front landscaping. It's not like you have this huge lawn that needs to be mowed, but it is kind of a nice feature. You don't have to worry about that. Another thing I do want to just make note of, as far as orientation on the map, is you are fairly close to Mesa Gateway Airport. Now, this airport is pretty tiny, a lot of smaller flights. You aren't having these huge commercial airlines like United and Southwest there. They do have plans for growth, so it's possible that it could get a little bit busier. Now, I personally haven't heard of anyone currently having any complaints, but it's just something to be aware of and maybe do a little bit of homework before you purchase a home here if you're concerned about any news or noise pollution from the airport. Now, the last community I want to talk about, this one is going to have the most amount of options for sale. It's actually, I would say, the newest new construction community we have. It's a master plan community too. So there's several subdivisions within this neighborhood, and this is Waterston Central. Now, there is Waterston North and then regular old Waterston as well. So this is kind of their third installment of the Waterston communities. I would say this neighborhood is absolutely beautiful, or all the Waterstons are. You have great amenities, beautiful playgrounds, the community pool is great. Pricing, it's definitely not inexpensive area to live, if you will. And you do have a lot of options. They have like around here, these are going to be more of the lower priced options. You're on a very small lot. So again, the setback isn't very big. Your backyard maybe could fit a pool. Again, it would be really, really tight. And then as far as home prices, it varies a lot. I know they say on their website the base price is about $573 for some of their lower priced homes, but I will tell you, when it's said and done, you're really getting closer to like $700 for this specific builder in this neighborhood. It's built by TriPoint, actually. And then the prices go, all the way up, some of them pushing past $1 million. It's just dependent on the lot size and then of course the square footage of the home. Their smaller homes are going to be about like 1,800 square feet. And then a couple of their floor plans go all the way up to 4,400 square feet. So they're, some big homes for sure. And as far as just orientation, you're not terribly far away from the highway. It's definitely not as close as Stonegate, but you're maybe like 7-8 minutes. So it's still pretty easy to get to, the main shopping, Santan, Costco. You're also really close to Veterans Oasis Park. This is technically Chandler, actually, right over here. You're right on the border of Chandler, but beautiful place just to go when the weather's good. Go walk around with your dogs, go fishing. And then of course you're not that far from Gilbert Regional Park as well. Interestingly enough though, they are putting in right this corner Lifetime Fitness, which is a great gym right here. The one thing I noticed though, a lot of these houses that they're putting up against here, they like directly face Lifetime Fitness, and it is a bit of an eyesore, particularly if you have like a 2-story home, you're looking at this commercial building. So that's just one thing to consider if you're looking at some of those lower priced homes, just to be aware of. Maybe you put up some landscaping you don't mind, or maybe your backyard's oriented where it's not going to be an issue, but something is to be aware of. And considering that Waterston Central is such a big neighborhood, there's a lot of different options there. I actually made a video breaking these down, and I actually show you too what one of the houses that's not a model home actually looks like, so you can get an idea of what the finished product is most likely going to be for you if you purchase your home. Thank you so much for your time and have a fantastic day.